Do you want to talk about Skeleton Crew?
Yeah.
I've seen the first 3 episodes of Skeleton Crew, and I don't want to like jump out and say like I don't like it because I don't want people to be mad at me. I guess that's probably the reason. But no, I thought it was like fine enough. My biggest complaint with it is that it's an impersonation of obviously the Goonies and movies like it. But it's one thing to be an homage. It's one thing to be a tribute. It's one thing to be like, oh, it'll be of the Amblin, Stranger Things style sort of. But this feels like everybody's doing a line read. Everybody is impersonating.
Yeah.
The camera is an impersonation. The kids are impersonating. It feels like strained and forced. Like we really want to do like kids and pirates, so we're really gonna do kids and pirates. Like it just doesn't feel like it earns or gets to. And then I'm also sitting there going like, Star Wars is in fucking trouble, people. And like, how is this the show?
Yes, exactly.
That's going to do anything for Star Wars? I think that if you were 7 through 12, this is probably you'd probably love this. Because you wouldn't pick up on the bad acting and stuff.
Basically, what it is there's this main kid. He's reading books about Jedi. He has to go to this like totalitarian school and take a test of where he's going to be an analyst or something, and he basically finds a spaceship in the woods, and then he has a group of people that are in the school. There's like a baby elephant who's his friend Neil,
very cute.
That's probably the coolest thing, is that like practical elephant little person that's with them.
Cute little voice. And baby elephants just are really adorable anyway, so.
And then there's like the bossy girl character, and there's like the like Asian technological character, which I feel is strange. But and then and so they find this spaceship, and they all get on it, and they basically go on an adventure outside of their little stuffy totalitarian school community there. And there's a pirate robot played by Nick Frost on there.
Oh, is that who that is? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a cool character, the Nick Frost.
Yeah, he's funny for sure. Yeah.
If I was to say anything, is that at least they're archetype character. They're not even archetypes. They're like more like stock characters.
Yeah.
But I can at least like pick them out in a lineup, which is more than I can say for like Ahsoka or the Acolyte, where they're all like stoic.
I think it's like exceedingly more watchable than those shows.
Yes, exceedingly.
It's like and most of the credit I want to give it is the person who's making this has a vision for what the show is. Yeah. And now I don't quite understand why this is the right vision for Star Wars right now, and I do feel like it's a little bit contrived. Contrived is probably the best word for it. Like where it just feels like.
And this is the Spider-Man Homecoming guy, right?
No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Yeah. Right. Or is it the same guy, probably, right? John Watts. I think it's the same guy.
I think he did all 3 of those.
I think he did all of them. Yeah. And you could like that dude knows how to make a fun movie. And so he like the fun is here if you can get past the fact like for me, the kids are really bad actors, and and the archetypes are, I find, just a little bit eye rolly, where it's the tough girl who kind of negs the kid, and the whatever. In particular, the dad. My God, the dad is like awful. He's like really, really boring.
Yeah, and this is like a small thing, but like the fact that he has this like normal ass glasses too. You know what I'm saying?
It's like Anakin's backpack all over again.
I think they did that in Mandalorian. There's that like professor who has glasses too. I don't know, if glasses don't feel like they belong in Star Wars.
And you got Urkel. He's in there. I assume he'll have a Jaleel White. I assume he'll have a bigger character. I was watching him and I thought Urkel's kind of like the original Jar Jar. He could, I don't know why. Maybe it's because Skeleton Crew came out, but YouTube has been recommending a shitload of Jaleel White interview content for me, and I keep on clicking it and I keep on watching it. And you know what? He's a pretty interesting fucking guy. He's a smart dude, a good performer, because like some of that, whoa, mama, like he's pretty funny on Family Matters.
Family Matters is great.
He talks a lot about how it's well documented that my fellow cast members were not thrilled that like the nerd came on and turned the whole show into like a time travel show and all that.
This is the Urk pad.
He's like he said something really insightful. He was like, he's like, I spoke to one of our producers and they said the show never would have gotten sold if it pitched the thing it became.
Yeah.
They're like, if we had said like there's a brilliant kid who lives next door, and it's so much so he invents teleportation and he's inventing new things, and he loves the girl next door, and she doesn't want the time of day with him, except that the cop with the heart of gold lets him into the house, even though he destroys his house. He's like, they never would have sold that show, but it's what it became.
He drinks serums to turn into a different guy.
That's fucking amazing. Like, they kept under wraps that this dude in real life acts nothing like Urkel for like 6 seasons, and then they whipped it out. That's almost like Nikocavo avocado, like losing weight secretly.
Look at my poopa. Actually, don't look there. Excuse me.
Final note on Jaleel White. I learned that he was not like super into auditioning and acting. His parents kind of were pushing him towards it. He was into basketball and whatever normal kid stuff. And they were like, "We'll give you a gift if you land a role. So if you land a character or something on a show, we'll get you a gift. And the gift, anything you want," they said. And the gift that he wanted was a Sega Genesis. And so he was like, I was 1,000%, I was motivated to get that role. The whole reason I wanted to get Urkel was because I wanted to get a Sega Genesis.
I wanted a Sega Genesis. That's it.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Isn't that funny? Well, it turned into like Do the Urkel and Dolls. And I mean, Urkel was like that's like Bart Simpson level shit.
Yeah.
Like,
It was
during that period of time.
It was huge. It was
Alf,
the hugest
Pee-wee.
thing ever.
Anyway, back to the Skeleton Crew. So I look forward to. I hope Urkel can do something on this show. Yeah. Just destroy the starship.
Did I do that?
So somebody asked him. They were like, "Did you know that Did I Do That was going to become a huge saying?" And he was like, "Not at first. The thing we were really focused on was if Urkel would bump into inanimate objects and say 'excuse me' to the inanimate objects." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's really funny."
That is funny.
Anyway. Pirates and shit.
Pirates, yeah. So they get into this starship, and the robot takes them to like a pirate port, where they immediately get like found out that they're on like they have like some gold or something. And they're from a weird planet that they're not really sure of, because it seems like they're like on a secret planet. Spoiler alerts, that was in the old Republic, and they've been kind of kept under wraps even through the war, the rebellion. And so I don't even think they know what's going on in the overall universe. The pirates put them in the brig, and they meet Jude Law, which is kind of like a force-using pirate, it seems like. Jude Law is just interesting as a character, as a person, as an actor. So he was immediately compelling. So the third episode mostly centers on him and getting these kids out. The kids kind of take a back seat in that episode.
Yeah, I was like, thank God. Yeah, that definitely was my favorite of the 3 for that very reason.
And he is interesting because he's a scoundrel, but he's not like Han Solo. He's more like a pirate. He's like more like maybe Johnny Depp's pirate, whatever that guy's name is.
Right.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
More scummy and because he has force powers maybe, but so he's not quite a Jedi, but he keeps inferring that he might be. It's kind of funny.
And his pirate nemesis is Wolf Guy. Remember Wolf Guy from the Cantina?
No, oh, is that?
Yeah, there's like a werewolf in the Cantina. I always thought it was fucking crazy. I was like, I don't know why. As a kid, for some reason, I always was like, and one of them's just a werewolf.
And one of them's a werewolf. Well, he's back in pirate form.
Yeah, in pirate form. I don't know. I definitely, when I turn it on, I'm not like, oh, I watch it and it's all good and it looks pretty good and it doesn't look super volumey either. One of my lasting impressions of The Acolyte is just how kind of stagey and cheap and shit it was.
So that's the benefit, is that it has good blocking, and I hear it's mostly shot on the volume and you wouldn't be able to tell.
They're just good at it. Yeah.
They're good at it. And so I can't tell. It doesn't look sound stagey like The Acolyte and Ahsoka and all those other ones. I don't know. It's not the best thing. The kids are not the best thing in the world.
I agree.
Yeah, so it leaves me being like, what do I do with this?
I suppose it has the spirit of Star Wars in as much as there's adventure and there's archetypes and this kind of thing, but somehow it doesn't feel like the suburbs and now the pirates and then the Amblin, and it just doesn't really feel like Star Wars like at all. It feels like Star Wars more than The Acolyte or something.
Yeah, there's at least that like the adventure and the optimism and like, oh, I want to be like something better than myself. There's some of that.
Yeah.
But it does feel false or
It just feels fake.
thin.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, I could write a character that says, I want to be more than myself. But if I don't actually like make the audience believe in it, and
Yeah.
with kids, it's just really challenging to do
Yeah.
that. But yeah, look, the visuals are awesome. The way this dude moves the camera, this guy knows how to make a movie. And I'm willing to bet he went to Kathleen, who used to be the Spielberg lady. And he was like, I want to make a Spielberg movie. And she was like, anything you want, John Watts. You just made us our first $1 billion movie for Disney since the pandemic. The dude probably could make anything he wanted, and this is probably his pitch. And then it begs the question of like, if you could pitch a Star Wars project of your very own, what would it be? And I keep kind of going back to Mando season 1 and 2, where I'm just like, that's kind of perfect because
Yeah.
it felt like a good innovative extension from the Star Wars universe, where it didn't feel like we were just ringing the same bell.
Yeah.
But it also felt like this is George Lucas and this is kind of thematically what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it also felt like when I watched an episode, I felt like, oh, I'm definitely in the Star Wars universe. Like I recognize the kinds of aliens and stuff that I'm looking at. This is definitely Star Wars.
Yeah.
Whereas this has a little bit of like the Andor problem where I'm like, even when I'm enjoying it, I kind of forget that this is supposed to be a Star Wars thing. But you might say like, well, what about the Penguin then? The Penguin, you'll frequently forget it's Batman. And you said, Frankie, that didn't matter because it's just a good show. But I think somehow Star Wars matters more than the world of Gotham, because Gotham is just like a city with like human being. Like once you're in space and you got spaceships and you got aliens and like it's sort of it's supposed to have a distinct identity, and it's part of an established canon. That's the other thing, is like it's supposed to all take place in the same story universe. With Batman, you can reboot, you can start over, you can do your own. It's all good.
But at the same time, I think the Penguin does feel Batman-y to me. Like,
yeah. Well, it feels like Long Halloween or something. Yeah.
There's still something there, and also I don't think Skeleton Crew's like it rises to the thing where it's like, oh, it's a good show, so it doesn't matter. No,
Like Andor did at times. Yeah.
Andor did at times. I think it's watchable. That's the best. You nailed it with that one. It's watchable.
It's never too long. For some reason, the Star Wars shows never are too long. This is like a common good thing about the Star Wars shows. they seem to not really exceed 40 minutes very often.
No.
Whereas Marvel will be like an hour 10.
Yeah. It's like when The Acolyte, when you told me the budget, and it's just like, how did they spend that much? This, I can feel like a premium quality show. It signals that to me.
Like when, the whole promise of Disney Plus will have premium stuff on it. You show me this. Okay. Like that's why you're spending $20 a month or whatever. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
If my kid got really into the show, which is totally conceivable, and then she wanted to watch it with me week to week, I probably would have some fun with it. I'd be like, oh yeah, because I think she would not notice the crappy acting, and she would.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of moments. There were two moments that jazzed me during the show. One was the corny, cheesy moment where he's like, "It's a starship."
It's a starship?
That actually was cool. Like that got a good pop. And then that same episode when they accidentally shot off into Lightspeed, and you just saw the stars, and then the credits popped up. That was very, very good. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, where like that's a director's touch,
Yeah. Oh, especially because like on their planet they have like a cloudy nebula around them, so they never really saw stars. That was kind of like a wonder moment. Like it's like, are those planets?
They're stars.
See, that is nice. It's cute.
It could be that by the end of the season, I'm like, you know what? They stuck the landing. That was a cool little idea.
Yeah.
And so I asked the question, why this for Star Wars right now? It could be that by the end, it's like, well, because it was just fun and it was just good. And we don't have to fight about it. Always needed something that we didn't need to fight about, Maybe that's what, maybe that's it. Maybe they were just trying to make something inoffensive.
I think it's just this creator wanted to make something along the lines of Goonies.
Yeah.
And
that much is clear. And and the Stranger Things guys did too, but they seem to innovate on it.
Yeah.
So it's to be determined, I think, whether or not the Goonies meets Star Wars. Is this going to be more than just Goonies meets Star Wars? Because that's kind of a dead end, I think. I'm
actually pretty optimistic with the Jude Law episode there. Mostly because I like Jude Law. So
it's a fuck of a lot better than some of the other stuff we've seen. So I'm not whining about it.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.